Thank you for your interest in learning more about the Pluris Wedgefield Water and Wastewater System Update. My name is Tim Armstrong, and I will be walking you through this brief presentation. I currently serve as a Deputy Director for Orange County Utilities, and I have been working on this project since 2016. The goal of this presentation is to inform Wedgefield property owners and provide another viewing option for those who are unable to attend the public meeting on May 9th and May 15th held in your community at the Wedgefield School. This presentation will be covering 6 topics, which are background, a more recent timeline, process phases, our current assumptions, a property owner current cost estimate, and next steps. So let's kick off this presentation with some background. The Wedgefield community was originally named Rocket City and was started by the Allstate Development Corporation in 1962. The community was billed as a 20,000-acre development that would supply housing for Kennedy Space Center staff. It's worth noting that the water and wastewater services provided to the community have always been through private companies. In the early 1960s, the first company was Econ Utilities Corporation. In 1996, the company was Wedgefield Utilities, Inc., and in 2009, the company was purchased by Pluris Holdings, LLC, and the company name was subsequently changed to Pluris Wedgefield, LLC in 2018. This map outlines the service area where water and wastewater services are provided through Pluris Wedgefield, LLC. The parcel to the south is the Wedgefield School, which opened its doors to the community in August 2016. Pluris Holdings, LLC is a private, for-profit utility company, corporately headquartered in Dallas, Texas. The company currently owns 6 utilities in 3 states. There are 3 utilities in North Carolina. They are in Hubert, Hampstead, and Sneads Ferry. There are 2 in Florida. They are in Wedgefield and in Sarasota. Lastly, there is 1 in Killen, Alabama. Pluris Wedgefield, LLC provides water and wastewater services to approximately 1,800 parcels within the community. Currently, Orange County has no oversight over the Pluris Wedgefield system. Regulatory oversight is provided by the Florida Public Service Commission, who oversees rates and other facets of the utility, and the Florida Department of Environmental Protection, who oversees the utility operations and water quality aspects of the system. There have been several service level concerns voiced by the residents relative to Pluris Wedgefield, LLC, and they can be boiled down to water quality, water aesthetics, high rates or high pricing, and lack of responsive customer service. Now let's transition to a more recent timeline of events. In the respective time, I will limit the timeline to the last 2 years. In February of 2022, Orange County Utilities was notified of a class action lawsuit which was named Cole versus Pluris. In the following months, we had several meetings with our stakeholders and determined it was important to place any further work or evaluation on hold until the conclusion of the lawsuit. In October, we contacted our outside counsel for an update, who informed us that the suit was settled verbally, but the settlement paperwork wasn't finalized. In January of this year, we were provided the lawsuit settlement documents from our outside counsel. We were informed that the final hearing on the lawsuit was scheduled for April 3rd, 2023. We were informed that the lawsuit terms were for Pluris to pay $3.3 million to resolve the claims. There will be post-settlement water quality monitoring for a period of 3 years. If the utility was purchased by a third party, the monitoring requirements would cease. Expenses from the litigation and post-settlement monitoring cannot be used in a rate case with the Florida Public Service Commission. As scheduled, the final hearing occurred on April 3rd, 2023. On May 9th of this year, I provided an update to roughly 74 property owners at the Wedgefield School. This meeting was followed up a week or so later on May 15th with a second update to another nearly 50 property owners. Following the meeting, a straw poll ballot was mailed to approximately 1,800 property owners designed to gauge their respective interest in this project moving forward. Now let's dive into the process phases. The work in these phases requires Orange County BCC approval prior to moving into the next phase. The goal is to update the BCC in late summer to include the results of the property owner straw poll, which is currently in hands of the property owners, who will have until June 17, 2023, to mail into OCU their final signed ballots. We are currently wrapping up Phase 2, and with BCC approval, we could move to Phase 3, which is the formal full USPAP or uniform standards of professional appraisal practice appraisal. Should we move to this phase, the appraisal would provide us with a much better estimate of the system value. Now let's transition to our current assumptions for this project. Subject to balloting by the Comptroller's Office as part of a potential Phase 4, the price of the system acquisition and certain costs would be borne by the property owners and assessed via a Municipal Services Benefit Unit, or MSBU, via the annual tax bill or trim notice. OCU would own, operate, and upgrade the existing facilities. A complete system condition assessment will be required to fully determine costs above and beyond acquisition. As mentioned prior, the project RFP requires BCC approval for all phases. Currently, Pluris Wedgefield LLC has been engaged with OCU through our outside consultants and is a willing seller for the right price. Market-driven factors have affected purchase price since the preliminary value consulting completed in Phase 1. This slide reflects the approximate 4.5 miles from our closest water infrastructure and the closest connection point to the Pluris water system. This slide reflects the approximate 6 miles from our closest wastewater infrastructure and the closest connection point to the Pluris wastewater system. A direct connection is not currently viable due to the water quality concerns associated with a long pipe, generally low water demand, and the resulting high water age. In addition to the costs for acquisition and upgrades, this option will require over $20 million in piping costs and capital charges to connect, making the decision to operate current plants and infrastructure as standalone facilities as the most viable option. In relation to water quality and water aesthetics, Pluris Wedgefield LLC is currently meeting all regulatory standards with the Florida Department of Environmental Protection. The facilities are considered to be in good working condition, but will require full assessment to confirm or refute. There are no major maintenance or operational items identified by FDEP during their last 3 sanitary survey reports, which were completed in 2016, 2018, and 2021. From a customer service perspective, customer complaints have been responded to pursuant to the Florida Public Service Commission regulatory standards. From a rate or price perspective, Pluris Wedgefield's combined water-wastewater rates are over 98% higher than OCU's combined water-wastewater rates for the same 5,000 gallons per month, which is the average monthly water consumption for customers in the Wedgefield Pluris system. From a purely business perspective, acquisition of the Pluris system is not recommended. Acquisition isn't financially feasible without an MSBU and/or subsidies such as grants. We are aware of certain property owners who believe grant funding may be available, but OCU has been unable to identify grants for this project to date. The Pluris Wedgefield LLC systems are remote and outside the urban corridor and without system integration value to Orange County utilities. The water system treatment is currently incompatible with the OCU system. Lastly, operational costs will be more expensive for OCU to run as a standalone system. Now let's move on to the property owner cost estimate. Property owner costs are based upon 2 components, which are the MSBU costs we mentioned on slide 15 and the OCU rates, which reflect the additional costs of operating and maintaining a remote standalone system with disparate treatment systems. The cost outcome for property owners depends on the total acquisition cost and their individual water use. The total acquisition costs are currently projected to be about $30 million. As previously discussed, the monthly average water consumption for Pluris property owners is 5,000 gallons. The table below illustrates in the first row the current cost of 5,000 gallons of combined water-wastewater for Orange County utilities. The second row depicts the monthly MSBU cost for the purchase of the Pluris Wedgefield system at $30 million. The $112.17 monthly cost reflects a 20-year payback period with a 5% interest rate across 1,768 property owners. You can see that the subtotal of the first 2 rows equals $179.66 per month. You then take the current monthly Pluris combined water-wastewater bill and subtract it from the subtotal. That gives you the additional monthly cost to each property owner for the purchase of the system, which is currently estimated to be an additional cost of $45.64 per month. Our last section of this presentation is our next steps. To reiterate, the deadline for your straw poll submission is June 17th, 2023. We provided a self-addressed and postage prepaid envelope for your convenience. The return submission must be postmarked no later than June 17th, 2023 to be counted and considered. We will calculate the overall response to the straw poll and include it in our upcoming update to the Orange County BCC. We will be scheduling this BCC update prior to the conclusion of summer and is tentatively penciled in for September 12th, 2023. In conclusion, this slide depicts the letter and straw poll ballots that were mailed to property owners at their current address of record with the Orange County Tax Collector. To be counted, you need to pick either option 1 or option 2 and sign the ballot, then mail it back to OCU with a postmark no later than June 17, 2023. Thank you for taking the time to review this Pluris Wedgefield water and wastewater system update. We are hopeful that you found this update beneficial.